Fresh graduates are one of the groups that are most screwed over by this COVID-19 pandemic, especially if they haven't found a job yet. Here's why I think fresh graduates have it especially hard. While some industries such as e-commerce, streaming services, and last-mile delivery services are booming during this COVID-19 pandemic, not all industries are so lucky. For example, those in the airline and tourism sector are taking a huge hit. In fact, people are traveling so little these days. I read the news that oil is now at negative prices. Crazy times. Fresh graduates are one of the groups that are most screwed over by this COVID-19 pandemic, especially if they haven't found a job yet. Here's why I think fresh graduates have it especially hard. Firstly, many of the relief packages are geared towards helping those already in the workforce. For example, the temporary relief fund, the one that gives a one-off cash payment, is only for people who have lost their jobs or suffered at least a 30% decrease in income, which fresh graduates will never be able to qualify for. Further to that, female fresh graduates or the males who went to JC are likely under 25 years old this year. What this means is that they won't be eligible for the second tranche of Skills Future top-up. To make matters worse for fresh graduates entering the workforce at this time, research has shown graduating during a recession has long-term impacts on income. So there was a research study that found there were long-term impacts on incomes of graduates who chose to work for lower salaries or choose to work for unattractive employers. Fortunately for these graduates, while the study found that the effects of making these decisions were persistent, they were not permanent. However, it was largely dependent on the ability of this graduate to find a higher paying job or a more attractive employer in the first few years after the recession. The outlook is starting to look grim and the odds of being unemployed or underemployed are much higher during this period. Before COVID-19, it was a job seekers market. But right now, most employers are reducing headcounts and cutting on their hiring. Senior management in certain companies like Singtel and SMRT have even resorted to taking pay cuts for themselves. And at Singapore's national carrier SIA, there have already been 2 rounds of pay cuts. But this also means that the opportunity cost of deciding to continue studies rather than joining the workforce has lowered significantly. Rather than risk being underemployed or unemployed, fresh graduates could consider enrolling into a course in the next higher level. For example, an undergraduate program for those who just left polytechnic or a postgraduate program to those who just graduated with a degree. A postgraduate program usually lasts between 1 to 2 years, while the degrees varies quite a bit. The private institutions probably will allow you to complete within 2 years, whereas the local institutions will take between 3 to 4 years. And it seems that the autonomous universities have caught on to this fact. For example, the National University of Singapore have announced that fresh graduates who enroll into their master's degree program this year will be able to defer the payment of the tuition fees for up to 3 years with no interest. Further to that, the Ministry of Education and the 6 autonomous universities have actually announced that all full-time undergraduates graduating this year will be able to take up to 4 continuing education modules at their alma mater at no cost. On top of this, NTU has announced that they are going to give $1,600 worth of credits to the graduates this year so that they can stack up enough modules to complete what they call a mini master's certification. This mini master's program has half the academic load of a full master's degree and can be counted towards fulfilling the requirements of a full master's degree, which the alumni can complete at a later date. And over at the only Australian institution in Singapore with university status, there is a higher education access scheme. So James Cook University has come up with a $10,000 student grant for prospective students who enroll into an undergraduate program for the July 2020 intake. And there's also a merit scholarship that covers postgraduate programs for those looking to take a master's degree. If you're interested in the Higher Education Access Scheme or the Merit Scholarship, I've left the links in the description below. Remember to like, share and subscribe if you found this video useful. In the meantime, please stay safe, stay healthy.